the public, ladies and gentlemen. Today, for the first time, from the Savitri Center, we have arranged a public function. Actually, the Savitri Center was inaugurated on 29th of April 2012, wherein we found there should be some forum where people can concentrate on Savitri, either through books, cassettes, or videos, or discussions. So consequently, we are having study classes on Savitri 3 days in a week, every Tuesday morning, conducted by Sri Lahariji, and Saturdays and Sundays I am conducting Savitri study circles. And I am glad to say there is a growing awareness among the devotees as well as the general public about the awareness of Savitri, whatever may be. To give a simple example, we used to procure Savitri, copies of Savitri versions composed by Aurobindo. We used to keep about 3 to 4 copies. It used to be sold within a few months. Now we are getting Savitri regularly every month, 3 to 4 copies. It is being sold every month. That shows the amount of inquisitiveness and know more about Aurobindo, the mother, and the importance of Savitri. And for this coming April, we will be completing 1 year of the inauguration of Savitri Center at Aurobindo Bhavan. And during that month, we would like to celebrate the exposition of Savitri to the general devotees. The entire month we would like to devote either to talks or video shows or whatever may be, and take advantage of this new interest that is being cropped up among our members. And I hope Dr. Alok Pandey would have an open mind to come during that time, provided his plan permits, because he is, as you know, is a very busy man. Now come to this today's speaker. Dr. Alok Pandey doesn't need any introduction. Most of us know him. He was with us in this Bangalore branch of Sri Aurobindo Society as a secretary for many years. And from this, he went to Pondicherry and blossomed. He is one of the leading exponents of Sri Aurobindo, the mother. And I am very glad he readily accepted, even though the time was very short. He had accepted to give a series of talks on Saturday, today and tomorrow, 2 talks at Sri Aurobindo Complex Trust in JP Nagar. The moment I came to know it is coming, then I immediately took up a phone to Dr. Alok Pandey in Pondicherry. And I told, even though you have been tied up with a series of talks at JP Nagar, would you mind paying all the people who are in the Bangalore north area, whose proximity of this Bhavan would like to benefit from your talks? And without any hesitation, immediately agreed. Doesn't matter, Mr. Rajnikant, I can cut short that last talk in Savitri, I can make a time for that. That shows the amount of affection and interest he bestows on this Bhavan, which he was associated for many years. And I would thank Dr. Alok Pandey for accepting to come this talk, and I hope all of us will benefit from his vast experience of knowledge and his feedbacks of his own sadhana. And we have not fixed up any subject matter on this Savitri. I leave it to the speaker in what way, in what mode he would like to conduct. We want to do it in a simple way so that some interaction could take place with the people, and probably he may introduce the subject on his own. And I would welcome, on behalf of you all, Dr. Alok Pandey to take up the chair to give his much awaited talk on Savitri.
no subject is best subject, and this to me is like homecoming. It is my home in many ways. Only I don't see some old members, some I see in some. So, what I thought is we could have as a kind of interactive question and answer session for the next 1 hour, with in the light of Savitri, keeping the focus on Savitri. That would be probably a good way to approach, because Savitri is an infinite ocean, and one can spend probably weeks, months speaking on Savitri, and yet one doesn't exhaust even little of it. It is the word body of Aurobindo and the mother, their consciousness together, in the form of a body of words. Just as in a physical body, we look at the physical body, but we don't see the consciousness that is behind. So we look at the physical body of the mother and think she's not we, but there are people who may think like a human being, like any of us. But her human personality, as Savitri itself mentions, even her humanity was half divine. All in her pointed to a nobler kind. So the human persona is a mask for the concentration of forces of a higher realm. Savitri brought with her in this body of flesh and nerve and bones something which is not normally seen, experienced in this little frame. So she used the frame to bring the infinite consciousness, all the infinity from the beyond in a small little form. So also the book Savitri is, to outer appearances, just a book, another work of Aurobindo. But if we dwell deep into it, we see it is an embodiment. It is an embodiment of the twin consciousness of Aurobindo and the mother. All their experiences, highest, what we may call as the entire range of yogic experience, is in it in the form of sound symbols and word symbols. So word becomes a body, and it contains the power of the infinite inside it. So that is Savitri, and when we read it, when we dwell upon it, if we do it with receptivity, we come in contact with the consciousness of Mother and Aurobindo. Whether we understand it or doesn't understand it, the effect is the same. There is a very nice pad by a famous mystic poet, Surdas. So he says, he's telling the Lord, Prabhuji, more avgun chitrata. Lord, don't look at my problems, issues, difficulties. And then he gives various examples. He says, one iron piece is kept in the pujagar. As it's a piece on which you can light a flame at the altar. Another is in the hands of the butcher. But when Parasmani touches it, it doesn't see whether it's a butcher's knife or whether it's a puja house. It changes it into gold. So when we read Savitri, when we dwell on its consciousness and allow ourselves to be carried, this of course Mother has said this is the experience of many of us. This touch begins to work its magic of transformation. From wherever we are, it picks up from there. So this is not like in everybody it works in the same way. The power, the consciousness of Savitri touches us wherever we are ready and starts the work from there. But it does not stop there. It goes right through to the end of the journey, carrying us even when we are unconscious. As we see in Savitri, as the Mother says, that it is a complete system of yoga a guide for those who want to practice the yoga of transformation. The whole yoga of transformation is there. So she carries us in this journey right through the luminous and the dark portions, and does not stop short at anything till all this darkness that death represents is transformed into light. It is our own story. We are Satyavan, caught in the grip of ignorance and death. We have lost our sight. We cannot see even the next step in front. Aurobindo describes the predicament of man. Man, still a child in nature's mighty hands, in the succession of the moment lives. To a changing present is his narrow right. The future flees before him as he walks. His memory stares back at a phantom past. He sees imagined garments, not a face. So this is how we continue our journey. But in this journey, Savitri comes to tell us that we are not alone. There is in this journey the grace, the love of the divine. And this grace and love of the divine is in two ways. One in a general way. In Savitri we see how grace is working in this whole creation, carrying it. Mother calls it as the yoga of the earth's ascension. Carrying earth right from the state of utter inconscience to human being, and it will carry it further. So this is one aspect of the journey. This is one aspect of the journey that we see in Savitri. And there is a general grace, there is a general love which has gone into creation to carry it upward. But there is another kind of grace, another kind of love. The same grace and the same love, sometimes for some who are ready through a process of evolution, made ready through the general action, they are ready for a more special intervention. So the grace and love which are there at the root of creation, the wisdom that is carrying it, the power that is behind all things, that takes a human form. And this human form leads or calls some who have reached a point where they can break into the infinity of God. So for them, Savitri comes as a personal embodiment of that love and grace and wisdom and truth and light, which is there in creation, in any way, in any case. But she becomes like a living embodiment. And through her, as a living embodiment, we can have a relation which is very personal. And she carries us in her arms, holding our hand to the highest heights of yoga. But we have to treat her as a living being. If we treat her like a book, and we keep dictionary at the side, opening the dictionary and forgetting to open the hearts, then it doesn't work very well. Imagine a situation where God is speaking to us. Suddenly it happens that God decides that, okay, I'm going to tell you about my side of the story. So all of us gather. So first question is, sir, what language you will speak in? Telugu, Marathi, Kannada, Tamil, Odia, Hindi, Gujarati. So God says, I will speak whatever language, you don't worry about that. You just listen to me. No sir, please tell me, I want to keep a consulting dictionary. What will he say? He will say, just look at me, open to me, don't lose concentration going into that. So this is a document where God is speaking to us. For once we have a document where Divine is telling His side of the story of creation, the story of man, the story of earth, as seen by Him. And He takes us on this great odyssey, this great epic journey, step by step. All the fierce questions of man that we raise or have ever raised about life, about ourselves, about the why and the wherefore of creation, about who are we and what are we doing here, why this great drama, so much sound and fury as The poet said, signifying nothing, is it really nothing? Or is something happening here? How can I collaborate? Do I have a role to play? All these fierce questions of man, they are there answered in Savitri. But we must have those questions as a living, burning questions of our life. Ashupati represents the anguish and the aspiration of the race. Do we feel the anguish and the pain? That's what is important. It's not a dictionary that helps us. It is this anguish, this burning heart, seeking for truth, light, love, harmony, bliss in a world torn by strife, suffering, ignorance. That unlocks the doors. If we can embody even a little of that aspiration and the anguish, then Savitri comes to us and says, my child, I have heard your cry. She comes and carries us from wherever we are. No darkness is so dense that the divine consciousness cannot penetrate it. So we have to love her more than anything or anyone else in the world. We have to treat her as living. Aurobindo says in the author's note, this is not merely an allegory. It is a legend and symbol, but not merely an allegory. The characters are not just personified qualities, but they are living and conscious forces and emanations with whom we can come in contact, and they lead man to the path of immortality. This is the key. Savitri should become living and conscious to us. Then she answers all our questions, not only mentally, but in our heart, in our will, everywhere. This is the magic of Savitri. It's a music which calls us to the rapture of the beyond. Not only all questions are answered, the whole path of yoga of transformation scene revealed to us, it carries us. That's what is most important. As we dwell deeper and deeper into Savitri, what happens is that the word becomes an interface for a contact of our consciousness with the consciousness that is embodied in the words. So when we come in contact with that consciousness, whether we like it or not, that consciousness begins to act upon us. What really is yoga? Yoga is simply a union of two different levels of consciousness. One, ignorant, obscure, dark, fallen, miserable, blind, that we as human beings experience. Another, vast, free, infinite, all powerful, all blissful, all beautiful. So we have to find a way to bridge. Now there are various bridges. Aspiration is a bridge, surrender is a bridge, seeking is a bridge. So all this becomes bridge. And from the other side, grace is the bridge, love is the bridge. So Savitri is meant to be a bridge. It embodies within it this consciousness, the higher consciousness, the greater truth. And when we read it, whether we like it or not, we come into contact with that consciousness. That is a journey of yoga. Yoga is essentially that. Instead of going within, here we are going through the medium of a book. What happened when people had darshan of Mother and Aurobindo? Spontaneously, by the very fact that they were coming in contact with the living embodiment of truth, they entered into yoga. That merely just having a darshan was yoga. Because you are coming in contact with that consciousness. What men have to go deep inside to find. Once mother told this to a child. Mother's work would get over by 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock sometimes, night. And she would go through a passage and some people would be waiting for her darshan. So these three young girls, they were waiting with some flowers in their tray. And as soon as mother is passing by, they suddenly, one of them is feeling very sleepy. She leaves her flower with the other two and goes away. Says, tell mother I was very sleepy. So mother comes after a while and these two girls say, mother, she was feeling very sleepy. So her flowers also. Mother sees and remarks, you know my child, sages and rishis have to do tapasya for 1,000 years to have a glimpse of mine. I have made myself so readily accessible to you. You do not know what it means to face the scorching heat of the sun, that tapasya. Anyway, she accepted the flower and went away. So when this child was told, next day she rushed to the mother, says, Mother, it is not our fault. You have spoiled us. Your grace is like a big banyan tree. It constantly protects us under its shade. What to do? We don't know what is tapasya. You have constantly sheltered us in your arms. We have those magical lines in Savitri describing Savitri's human personality as a bird flies with tired wings, chased by a world of storms, in a haven of safety and splendid soft repose. One could drink life back in streams of honey fire, recover the lost habit of happiness. What a wonderful line. Children are naturally happy. As we grow up, we lose this habit. Everything becomes artificial. If I have this, I will be happy. If I have that, I will be happy. One recovers the lost habit of happiness. How? By simply going into that sanctuary of light, the inner temple. But it's not easy. It requires great effort to go inside. So Aurobindo wanted to make it easier for us. So there was the living embodiment of the grace. You come, you descend upon earth with thy moon gold feet, enrich earth's floor upon whose sleepy lie. But then he saw that it's not easy for earth to hold that embodiment. Man is also not ready. So he wanted to leave something which could carry that atmosphere of light, which could be the same embodiment but in another form. Not an embodiment of flesh and blood, but an embodiment of word and sound. So that human beings for all times to come in contact with the infinite grace, love that the mother represents, embodies, through that medium. That is Savitri. It is a yoga in its own right. To read Savitri, Mother has said this, very interesting. To read Savitri is to do yoga. She is not telling us if you read Savitri, you will know how to do yoga. It's not an easy step-by-step technique. We don't need it. Often people say, where is it written in Savitri how to meditate? And people also find out some lines and say, look, this is how meditation is. We can't meditate like that. In moments when the inner lamps are lit and life's cherished guests are left outside, our spirit sits alone and speaks to its cubs. Who can meditate like this? It is easy to speak about it. Life's cherished guests are left outside. When you close the eyes, all the bhoot pishach inside, they wake up. Even more. Sometimes one thinks it was better with the eyes open. Eyes closed means one meditates on everybody except the divine. There was a man who used to, he knew it, he knew the Lord looks bhola, like Shiva, but he knows everything, he is mischievous like Krishna. So there was this man who would sit for hours in meditation. And somebody wrote to Aurobindo, oh, he meditates so much, so many hours. He must be a great sadhak. Aurobindo says, yes, he meditates, but on his wife. He knew what's going on inside. So he knew, if he tells human beings to do tapasya like Ashwapati, there will be not one. When he was asked that, it seems there are very few takers for your yoga. I wish you had better sadhaks, not, people like us. You should have had people like Swami Vivekananda, then you would have been very lucky. But kismat. So Aurobindo says, as to the sadhaks, I agree. I could have had a better lot, semi-humorously. But then he says, That, but if I would have done that, the problem of earth nature would have remained unsolved. We would have had all sattvic people, cultured people, refined people. What about people who are not ready, who are in total obscurity? The Lord wants to redeem them also, like Shiva, as I said. The fallen, the bhutas, the rakshasas, everybody comes and Shiva gives shelter. He says, come. That's what is Shiva's Bharat. Often people ask about ashram, the same thing applies to centers. If you have to ask in one sentence, what is a center? Says Shivji ka Bharat. It contains a lot of meaning. What is Shivji's Bharat? Sur, Nar, Muni, Gandharv, Pishach, Rakshas, Asur, Bhut, everybody. Where are they going? Parvati ke paas. Shiva is not leaving anybody. Come with me. They may fight with each other. Doesn't matter. But don't leave Shiva and don't leave Parvati. That's all that is required. Because it's a great marriage, mystic marriage of the Param Purush with Parashakti. If you are part of the marriage, you will share the glory and the joy. That's all that is required. Keep moving. Don't drop out. Don't fall out. So like that, we have... So he knew that human beings cannot do this yoga. Why this yoga? Even any yoga. We are not meant for that kind of interiorization. To go inside, okay, some people can. But how many? If you see the great history of movements, Buddhism, so many monks, but how many really who can go deep inside like that? How many realize that nirvana? It is very difficult. Then he says, well, at the same time, if someone like Vivekananda were to take up this yoga, I am not sure whether they would take up. And if they were to take up, the ordinary humanity in them will not show up. It's a yoga of transformation. It's not easy. So knowing all this, Sri Aurobindo and the mother wanted to make it as easy and simple for us. This yoga is not complicated except in the mind of the intellectuals. Keep away from the intellectuals. Simple yoga is made so easy. Repeatedly Sri Aurobindo says, open yourself psychically to the mother. That's all that is asked of you. You have defects, problems, difficulties, don't worry. Keep open, keep moving, endure the journey. It's a difficult journey, long journey, all kinds of things will come. Have faith. Such simple things. Be happy, remain quiet, do your work as well as you can. This is, who can make yoga simpler than this? He is not saying, tan ke baitho, 3 hours meditation you must do every day. Do some punya deeds, nothing. The Lord has made it so easy. But man is such that even that he will not. The moment divine becomes human, man forgets that he has to become divine by the help of that. He starts pointing, oh, you are human, you are human, you are human. There were people who, when mother came as an embodiment, they went and told, mother, you don't know anything. They would quarrel, argue with him. It may shock you. It shocked me when I came to know, how could people do this? And what was mother's response? Mother would say, keep quiet, my child, cool down. My God, she could smash the cosmos in one single look. And here is a teeny little ant saying, you don't understand anything. And mother is saying, cool down, my child. That love she embodied. Otherwise, she could not take up this work. So, since human beings, when they have another person like them, actually divine becomes human to carry us, to inspire us, to give us hope that if I can do it, you can also do it. His image in the human measure cast, that we may rise into his Godhead. But man says, you are human, you are human, you are human. So Sri Aurobindo says, okay, I am going to now bypass all this. You will keep doing this. Krishna was Kshatriya or Brahman or Yadav or what, whether he existed or not existed, man will do all these kind of nonsense. Instead of benefiting with with the inner Krishna and inner Christ, whose truths are eternal. Aurobindo says in essence on the Gita, it matters little, the historicity of Krishna, it matters little. Whether Krishna really existed or not, though there is enough evidence that he existed. What is important is if we can reproduce the inner Krishnahood and Christhood in our consciousness. That's what yoga is about. So they said, okay, I'll bypass this whole issue. So he bypasses and gives us Savitri. Now ask Savitri, when was she born? When did she leave her body? When did she get married? What was the date? Nothing. This is called spiritual bypass. Bypass surgery, you have. So he is bypassing all that. And it is given in the form of a poetry. It's very interesting. What does a great poet do? He is Kavi Kritu. He gives form to a consciousness. This is his task. He is the creator. Divine is a poet. That's why he could make this amusing word. Poet can bring delight in everything. We know the 10 rasas. So in this world there is delight in everything, a delight even in the dark state. So this creation is an act of poetry. It is a form, an expression of the delight, where all the various colors have come together to reconstitute the one. So poetry is the best medium to recreate that first original bliss. Aurobindo speaks of that in Canto 3, Book 1. How this inspiration comes like a golden file of bliss which is pouring upon earth. So poetry becomes a form which is most suitable. When we read it, she comes very near to us. We cannot have that vision. We are blind. Even when mother is there in the physical body, how much can we see? We have story of Swami Sharanand who was blind. So he was in the darshan queue. So somebody asked him, sir, you are blind and Aurobindo will not speak. Why are you going for darshan? He gave a very good reply. He said, you people think you have eyes? How much can you see with your eyes? I am going so that their gaze can fall on me. That's enough. So we are blind with 2 eyes. That's the only difference. So he knows we are blind. So to make it easier for us, now when we have this poetic embodiment of a consciousness, we have 2 magical, grand vision of the Supreme in Savitri. Can we ever imagine that in our lifetime or many lifetimes, we can ever come face to face with a love from beyond the great conqueror here of death? Rajnikant will recite those lines and I have heard him so many times. How beautiful. Hers is the mystery the night conceals, the spirit's alchemy, energy is hers. The power, the might of all that never yet came down, the bliss that beckons from the impossible, the joy that beckons from the impossible. Can we imagine ever coming face to face with that embodiment? And Aurobindo, through the highest form of poetic creativity, brings us face to face. And again in Book 11, where we have the vision of the Supreme, when Mahabharata war is over, Dhritarashtra, who is both psychologically blind and physically blind, tells Sanjay, you tell that Krishna is God. This is what God does, massacring so many people. All my sons gone, at least one he should have left. So Sanjay says, Dhritarashtra, I know you are born blind, I shouldn't say, but you are seeing too much of all this. Much after Bhima, Arjuna, all these are gone, people will doubt their authenticity. They will not believe that there were people with Brahmastra and Agnyastra and all this. They will doubt. But 2 things will remain as a fallout of this war. For these 2 things, everything was justified. One, the Gita I have heard on the battlefield. Second, the great vision of the Supreme which is conjured in the Gita. These two things will liberate humanity in times to come. Aurobindo brings an upgraded version. People may, 200 years down the line, they may wonder, was there really a rishi like Aurobindo that who wrote so many books in just those few years? Like people doubt whether Vyasa was one man or a lineage. They may wonder that really once upon a time the great mystery took a body and played on the playground, turning this, this teenage from the heights came down, and by her touch she turned into a playground of the infinite. When we read those stories, right now still, because there are some people who have been there, people believe, but a time may come when intellectual mind, analytical mind may say, really? There was someone, the Divine Mother, whom people could see and they could feel freed from their sorrow, suffering, everything just by look. Who by look could ennoble humanity. But what they can never doubt is Savitri. It is there for all to read, to come in contact with, and to undergo the change through its consciousness and the great vision of the Supreme that is conjured in Savitri. So this is Savitri, and much, much more. No words can capture. I thought it's a question and answer. Suddenly I realized I'm going on speaking. I should stop here, and let's invite some questions. Yes.
So Savitri, is that the story of the mother actually, or is that
Yes.
the mother?
Yes, Aurobindo has used the framework of the story of Savitri to bring in all the experiences of Aurobindo and the mother. So this contains, in Ashwapati's yoga, we have experiences of Aurobindo. And in mother's, experiences, Savitri's experiences are experiences of the Divine Mother. And Mother herself has confirmed it, that how he knew everything without ever telling him. Whatever I would experience, he would know and he would write it and tell me. Because they are one consciousness in two bodies. So it is their story, the one and only authentic biography of their true life is Savitri.
So one would have to actually go to classes or somebody explain what is, how the poetry is read and the story.
That's a long process.
Because
I recommend not to go through that. I myself take classes on Savitri. Unwittingly, I am there not out of choice, but out of destiny. I used to wonder, because Mother has said only I can explain Savitri, my child. Nobody can explain Savitri. She said human consciousness after 300 years will begin to understand Savitri, because it contains experiences which are of another kind. So I used to debate inside me, great conflict. I don't want to touch Savitri or talk about it. So many ways she gave me sign, experiences that no, this is a work given to you, but I would struggle. Till I was literally pushed into it. Nath Pandeyji's classes, he's just told me before passing away that I have announced the session, but I am not feeling too well, so can you take this November session? I said, Nath Pandeyji, I don't feel like it. You take this person, that person, 10 names. I said, no, I think, why don't you take up? And most people are saying you should take up. So I said, okay, you can announce my name anyways, you will be fine and you will come and take. So I took it very unwittingly, not realizing that within a couple of months he would actually pass away. So the name was announced, I had to jump into it. Even then, with great debate, ultimately so many irrefutable signs, then I have continued. But I used to have this debate that Mother, only you can explain Savitri, what are we doing there? Then she revealed a deep secret. I am sharing this personal thing not because of anything about me, but about Mother. That she revealed it, that the meaning of this thing is that Savitri can only be revealed by me to anyone. So whatever we are revealed, whether it be X or Y or Z, it is only by the touch of her grace. So one need not go to classes, one need not read any book, but one can always open to her. That's what I meant that Savitri is a living truth. We approach it and say, Mother, I don't know anything. I don't have the strength to understand. I don't have the background of English language. I understand nothing. But you know everything. You give me the buddhi, the intelligence, whatever is necessary to read, understand and walk this way, and then she will do everything. Now, having said that, that is the main key. Then classes and everything becomes a joy of the journey. Like, we sing together, so it's fine. It should not become the main thing, then it becomes a distraction. The key is her grace. She will explain, reveal everything because it's a revelation. Now, when she will reveal everything, and there are some seekers who come together, it's like, in Delhi we used to have a group of 5-6 of us. Every day, one person is a doctor in All India Institute, I was in Air Force as a doctor, and third person was in some other company, another person was in army. And every evening we would go together, sit near the relics and read some works of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. So, some of my colleagues asked me, where do you go every evening? I didn't know what to reply, so in that mastika mood, I said, I go to have some drinks. He said, Acha, go to have some drinks, but we have nice drinks here in the bar. I said, no, that drink doesn't help me. I go to have divine wine. So, obviously, when you have divine wine, you delight in the company of those who are also partaking it. So, to me, Savitri study circles are doubling, tripling, quadrupling the joy of sharing the spirit and the delight of Savitri. Now, when we do that, quite naturally, since we are mental beings, naturally sometimes something is revealed to someone, we share it. It's a joy. But it should not be given more importance than that. So many talks, Mother has used this mouth to speak about Savitri, writings. So many people have written. Read it if it gives joy and some opening. But don't turn any of them into dogmatic, axiomatic truths. There is always something more which will be revealed to you personally, to your consciousness, because that needs that revelation. It is a revelation of somebody else who is sharing it, which is fine. But she will reveal everything to me directly. That's with that spirit approach. Then the two will not antagonize each other but become companions, where primary thing is opening to her grace and the spirit of Savitri, and secondary thing is singing together on the way. That's all. And I am saying this with experience. I have never gone to any classes of Savitri or anyone, and I am not that kind of a poet with that intellectual capacity to understand, comprehend. I am not a student of English literature, but just a doctor, ordinary doctor. And but yes, by her grace, Lord has been revealed, all by her grace, nothing else. So I suppose there are people who are much, much better. And it doesn't matter whether one is better or worse. It's the opening which matters. If one is open to Mother, she will do it.
So how should one begin? Just by reading
Yes.
a verse or 2 lines or any like this?
Yes. Well, that's a very good practical question. Any which way. One way is that one decides to read from cover to cover. All ways have advantages and disadvantages. The disadvantage is that some people after a while find it difficult, so they give up. Second way is that one reads certain cantos which are easier. Easier in 2 ways. One, that they are a little more closer to us in terms of connecting with us. And second, perhaps they are not containing experiences of that kind, like in book 2, experience of same with book 1, some of the experiences are very, very profound. But let's say the book of fate, everybody's question, everybody's problem. So, one connects much easier. So by connecting, one has formed one entry. It's like getting a foothold. Or the book of debate between love and death. Again, little easier. So one gets a foothold and then, one goes back and reads. Anywhere you touch is the same Ganga Jal, and Ganges can be described at any of the ghats. So it's like that. This is the second way. Third is to every day just randomly open any page. Maybe with a query in mind, maybe without a query, maybe just to enter and dwell. And forget the context and just read the lines and see what sense they make to one. Some people take it that, okay, I'll read just 4 or 5 lines every day and maybe dwell upon them, meditate upon them. One starts with it was the hour before the gods awake, across the path of the divine event, the huge foreboding mind of night, alone in an unlit temple of eternity, lay stretched immobile across silence, march. Almost one felt big, impenetrable. Now what dwells upon this? It's a mantra. Dwells upon is not like what is this night, what is this divine event? We can have that approach. Or else simply one repeats it inside. The word repeats itself in rhythmic chant. Savitri itself gives us the technique of reading Savitri. As when the mantra sings in yogas here, studying the blind brain. We dwell upon a body of words, index thought. But after a while, the laboring mind is unable to know. So it falls silent. Then suddenly one is flooded with a greater consciousness of the beyond. The key here is to make the mind quiet. Sometimes the mind becomes quiet when it makes too much effort, gets tired, gives up. And in that quietude, God can come in. Or else we can start from the beginning that instead of trying to labor this too much, let me labor to make it quiet. The mind becomes quiet, consciousness reveals itself. So we can read it like a mantra. Whatever lines, we just dwell upon those lines. A life from beyond, the group conqueror here of death. Now, these lines, 1 line, 4 lines, 10 lines, this is the ideal way one dwells and it reveals. Context to no context. Another way is, now these are not exclusive ways, but they can complement each other. One knows a little framework of the story. Okay, book 1 is about this, book 2, book 3. This framework also helps sometimes because mind gets lost in the ocean. It's like castaway, life of Pi, where am I? So sometimes good to know that I am here. So when they're speaking about this, just a rough idea. This helps us to navigate. But what should be definitely avoided is hyper-intellectualization. When one begins to play with one word, it could have meant this, could have meant that, and pages are written on that, reams of paper wasted, that becomes a wasted exercise. That may satisfy certain students of, intellectual aesthesis in art, that kind of thing. But that's not about the yoga usefulness of Savitri. That's all right for maybe an aesthetic and intellectual appreciation of poetry. It doesn't take us beyond that. So we can choose one or many methods depending on our own need. But whatever it be, one must read Savitri every day. Time spent in its atmosphere is never wasted. That's what I want to say. She said, my child, I advise, read a little, read every day, read at a fixed time preferably, in general about Aurobindo writing. Concentrate, do not try to understand. And it will do the work of transformation in you. That's how we should read. She will work.
As the mother has rightly pointed out, whether you understand or not, read Savitri.
That's what that poem of Surdas. एक लोहा बधिक घर रहियो, एक सिर देव चढ़ो. Paras गुण अवगुण नहीं जानत. It does not care. It touches. If you touch fire or fire touches you, it will burn. Whether it's you want to be burnt or not, it will burn you. Because it's a power. It's not like, like the Gita is also power, but it shows the way. You have to walk, you have to do certain things. It's a path of yoga. Savitri is not like that. Savitri is its contact. It is a power which is embodied by the